Hey, all you classic people. This is Merrick Get, Episode 1, July 17th, 2013. I'm Patrick. I'm joined here with Ashley the Brave.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on Episode 1.
André the Giant.
That's me.
And Sean the Cool.
Hi, I'm Sean. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I hope you enjoy it.
And with that, let's start talking about the new Grand Theft Auto 5.
There's a lot of stuff that really stood out about the trailer, and I think they put it together knowing that there was going to be some really cool stuff that they wanted to show off. But I think the most interesting part was being able to switch between the different protagonists during a mission, like working in the fact that you're playing three different characters and that they each have their own job in these heists or whatever they're doing, and that you can actually kind of affect how you play just by swapping between them while they're currently doing their own thing.
I'm scared
it's
about
awesome.
what I will run into them doing while they are off doing their own thing. Because knowing Rockstar, we could run into some very disturbing things.
No, so you're afraid like you're gonna warp in to play like one of your characters and he's gonna be sitting in a porta potty or something, or like?
I don't know. I didn't want to think beyond. I could find something rather unpleasant.
Yeah, I think the character switching is really awesome because it's kind of empowering the player more to say, hey, what do you want to do right now? And that's always awesome because I don't know how much of the other GTA games you guys have played, but I recently actually finished Part 4 just so I could play Part 5 if I wanted to. And some of the missions really, really drag out. And then if you fail the mission because of something really stupid, then you have to do the whole mission over again, and there are just certain parts of that mission that you are really redundant and take a really long time to do, like drive all the way across the city or whatever. And so this opens up options for if you want to like pilot the helicopter or do the shooting and do the heisting part of it or whatever. But then also like if you fail a mission, then it gives you those. I don't really know, but it seems like they would give you those options to approach it from a different angle. And so it's almost like even though you have to replay the same mission, you get to see a whole new perspective of it, and that's awesome. And there's the whole multiplayer aspect too that we don't know the details on it, but I'm excited to see if they allow co-op and your friends to jump in and out and stuff like that. So
They definitely tease something pretty huge. So
yeah,
The single player co-op in the campaign, like the story campaign, that looked really fun.
Wait, did they?
Like where you're swapping on the fly.
Did they show that
while you're
stuff?
actually carrying out missions? Yeah, like when the guy was vaulting down the side of the building and then you switch to the other guy and he was in the other building with a sniper rifle and he took out other people for you while you were... I don't remember what the other guy was doing actually. And then the third guy was in the helicopter.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Yeah, I hope that it's not too forced, but...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's AI controlled, that the characters that you're not playing will always be there doing those missions with you, whether you choose to play them or not.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the three characters, Michael, Frank, and Trevor? Michael as the rich, suave, terrible dad, and Franklin's the...
the terrible dad.
Yeah, and then Franklin's the more of like the street thug, and then Trevor's the really weird, just hard ass. That's great.
Just
I think it's a good mix.
The fact that Trevor was shoving an appendage into a toilet, just... I could tell that he was going to be my favorite.
I think...
Yeah, I'm definitely the most intrigued by him, but I didn't play San Andreas either, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the whole G-Thug side of Grand Theft Auto. Apparently, people regard it as the best one.
Really? My standard for Grand Theft Auto was set with Vice City, so...
Yeah,
I had issues with that game. Like, technical issues. I liked it the most as well, but then I got to a certain part in the game where my PS2 would freeze and lock up, and it was like... probably 3/4 of the way through the game, and I couldn't finish the game because of it, so I didn't get to finish that one. But
probably one of the best soundtracks for a video game ever, too.
Oh
I have
definitely.
to say.
Definitely. Growing up in the 80s.
Radio.
Being an 80s kid, definitely. Yeah, so did you guys see all the internet hoopla that occurred after they showed the trailer and about the shed? Did you guys see any of that talk?
I
No.
heard something about it, but I don't really know what's going on.
Like, so there was this scene in the trailer where you get to see like the world kind of from a way up high bird's eye view, and and there's this huge like mountain, there's this city that's way down below, and then there's this huge mountain that's off to the left, and there's this tiny little shed that's at the edge of the mountain. And and Reddit, I don't know if it was on other sites, but Reddit freaked out about it, and they were like, the first thing I'm doing in this game is seeing what's in that fucking shed, and everybody blew up about it, and it was just really interesting to see so many people just think that there's something so special inside this shed, and everybody obsessed over it, and then people would get pissed because all you read were posts about this stupid shed. And then someone posted this image that said, hey guys, I don't think this shed is what you think it is. And they drew these red lines all over the map and kind of showed the perspective of everything, and showed that like the angle that most people were viewing the shed at makes it not look like a shed at all, but instead it's actually like this log cabin house thing. And apparently in California, somewhere in Southern Cali, they have this, it's almost like an airway tram system or something like that goes up into some mountains, and it's famous and stuff like that, and that's what they think it is. But, yeah, I don't know. Internet phases and things, is interesting, so...
What does a tram have to do with a log cabin?
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you a picture of it. I know they can't. I know the listeners can't see this right now, but this is the screenshot I'm talking about. Maybe we can link to this in the show notes or something. But yeah, everybody freaked out about this shed, and it's basically what people talked about. Like, and people were pointing out how funny it was that the development team goes through all this trouble to talk about, or to make this really awesome gameplay trailer, and then the internet obsesses over this like little dinky shed. I don't know. I don't really give a shit what's in the fucking shed. I don't think it is a shed. I think this image kind of does a good job to debunk it. But yeah, I'm excited to play it. I don't know. I haven't been this excited to play a Grand Theft Auto game in a long time. So. Yeah.
That was actually really good in transition. How awesome is the fact that they made this map so freaking huge?
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty intense. Like what they're saying, what you can do, and I feel like the sound is gonna be awesome because they kind of went through the forest and stuff and the different environments, and I feel they're actually gonna do a really good job. I even noticed they'd actually had some gunshots in there. I know this is kind of weird, but the gunshots were legit. I can tell that they were like proper caliber. I don't know if that's just how I am, but they actually did a really good job so far as I can hear with the sound.
I couldn't make out much as far as sound goes because that woman was talking over the whole trailer.
It's and this is coming out on current gen, right? They're not making a next gen version?
I think today I read that. Was that this game or another one? Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about something else.
Isn't it both?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was.
I think it's only confirmed for current gen games, and Rockstar basically said, we're taking advantage. Like, we want to deliver a certain caliber of experience, and so we're taking advantage of the hardware that we're most comfortable with, and we don't want to. I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to come out on the next gen ones at some point.
Well, it looks like next gen software.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks really, really good. Did you guys play Red Dead Redemption?
Yes.
Okay. I finally got around to beating that game like just a few months ago, and it's one of my like favorite games ever because the ending is just so freaking amazing. But I'm hoping that this game just has the same kind of gameplay, like in terms of how it works and how like solid it was in Red Dead. I hope that this, and I'm assuming it will, work just as good as that, because they obviously introduced the whole hunting thing, and they showed that you can go out and hunt, deer and all that shit. But I hope that it's like they're taking a page out of Red Dead a little bit, and I hope that they do a lot of the open world stuff that Red Dead did, because that was really, really good compared to what Grand Theft Auto 4 had in terms of just controls and stuff. Like, Grand Theft Auto 4 was pretty janky, and Red Dead was awesome. So that's what I'm most excited about, is a Grand Theft Auto game that controls like, as good, if not better, than Red Dead. So.
Well, we did see in the trailer that there was hunting in this one, but I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out on hunting in video games thanks to Far Cry 3.
Which actually, speaking of Far Cry 3, it was just announced that they're making a sequel.
Oh,
to
nice.
Far Cry 3?
Just came out today, yeah.
Cool.
I don't know that it's going to be... They're calling it Far Cry 4. but I don't know if it's going to be a direct sequel or if it's going to be a new story.
Right.
They should just make a full game in the style of Blood Dragon. That was so entertaining.
Yes.
That was a fantastic game.
It's on my list of things to play. It looks awesome. It looks rad. I'm glad they made that and like took a chance on it and stuff, because it supposedly, you know, sold all right. So cool.
So yeah.
Very cool.
I don't know if you guys follow fighting games much, but EVO was this weekend.
Yeah.
Patrick and Sean and I were in a meeting yesterday, and our friend was listening to it live, and we heard him and all his roommates freaking out.
Big fighting game tournament.
They were like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" that was going down.
If they were watching, I don't know if Justin Wong's final match was the other day or not, but
Oh wow. Was this the guy from the Philippines?
apparently he had a pretty enormous comeback. Like in the fighting game scene, Justin Wong was huge for a while, and then he kind of, you know, drifted behind, and he wasn't really considered the best anymore. And so in his first game at EVO, he lost and was bumped down to the losers bracket, and then he won every single game after that and worked his way all the way back up to the final round, where he was up against the guy who beat him in the first round.
Okay. I'm not like all on the fighting scene, but I started watching EVO, and I don't think I watch a lot of streaming and watch a lot of like live gameplay and stuff, and I've never really gotten into watching the fighting streams. Whenever a new game comes out, like the new Mortal Kombat game, stuff like that, I always go to the streams to kind of see how the game looks and to see how the gameplay is. But it wasn't until I just watched EVO, I think yesterday and the day before, where I was actually really tense in my chair, like I was watching some like crazy horror movie and someone was about to get slashed in it, you know, where I was on the edge of my seat watching these people play like the finals for Smash Brothers and then the grand finals for Street Fighter, and holy shit, I mean, these guys are so good. You can tell when like they jump up in the air and they're about to land on like their enemy's fireball, so they'll cast a fireball themselves to like kind of like stun themselves in the air so they, you know, don't fall onto the fireball and take damage and stuff. Like just crazy amounts of you know, processing in those guys' brains going on, and they're so good, and it was pretty intense. So
I have a friend who plays Super Smash Brothers, not at the EVO level, but he does go to tournaments and stuff like that, and playing with him is just such a mind fuck. I swear. Like, he does things in Smash Brothers that I didn't know you could do. Like, I have yet to beat him, obviously, because I'm not all that good. I just play for fun. But it's so weird. Like, I didn't know you could manipulate a game like that. Or manipulate other players that way.
Oh, yeah.
do you follow the this EVO scene and all that stuff, or the fighting game scene or anything?
Not closely, no.
What about you, André?
Just like on the fringe. Whenever there's big news about it, it's always kind of it grabs my attention, but I've never been a really, really close follower of it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, one of the things that makes those tournaments so amazing is not just that the players are so great, but when it comes to those final matches, when you're watching them, the players are so fantastic and they're so evenly matched that it makes those, you know, edge of the seat games just so crazy.
They are very intense.
Yeah, and there's something really special about the fighting scene in the sense that, you know, they're still played with two people, you know, sitting within arm's reach of each other, you know, like almost touching each other, just like it was like back in the arcade, you know, and they basically like replicate that experience, and they put them on old CRT, you know, monitors and stuff, you know, and it's just, there's something different about that than what you see for the StarCraft tournaments or the League of Legends tournaments, where they have to soundproof the rooms, you know, so they can't hear the announcers, because then they'll hear the strategies of the other team, and you know, they have to separate the players onto teams and stuff, and they have their headphones on, and sometimes two pairs of headphones on, and you know, it's just it's really cool. Like I felt like there was something special there, and for someone that hasn't really paid much attention to fighting games, you know, since kind of couch co-op kind of just left the living room years ago, it did draw me in, and I started watching some of that EVO stuff, and it was it grabbed me. It was really, really cool.
It made me miss my old time LAN parties, where me and all my friends would sit in the same room and play video games together, like, you know, not across the block or across town or across the country, but
yeah, I know.
But in each other's presence. you know.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really sad. I don't have many friends out in California, but in Chicago, I have a couple really close friends, and we play games together, and we'd go out and grab a beer or two, and then we'd go, hey, you want to go play this game? He's like, all right, I'll go home and hop on my system. I'll catch you online. And like, that's how we play games together, and it's just, I don't know. It's sad kind of, but
that's what André and I do when I go into
Yeah.
Chicago and visit. We the first thing we do is we decide okay, what video game are we going to play together now that we're actually in the same town?
Yeah.
We speaking of, actually, the other day I picked up Battle Block Theater for the Xbox, and oh my god, just talking about on the couch, co-op and versus gameplay, that has got to be one of the most fun games I've played in a very long time. It's by the guys who made Castle Crashers.
Okay.
And it came out a few months ago, and I hadn't picked it up until now. And it's an Xbox Live arcade title, and it's got co-op campaign, a single player campaign, and just beat 'em up multiplayer versus mode. And so it's got a lot of the charm of Castle Crashers, but the multiplayer is it's a bit like Super Smash Brothers in that it's 4 people on one screen, but your moveset is basically you have one weapon, and it's a variety of really ridiculous things, and then you can punch and uppercut. And the levels are typically filled with traps and things like that. So there's spikes on the ceiling that you can uppercut people into, or there's water that you can push them into, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really simplistic, but it's just fantastically well done. It's got a great soundtrack. Yeah, we just had so much fun playing it. We ended up, I was meaning to do a lot of work that day, and we ended up getting it, and then we played multiplayer for 3 or 4 hours, and then we started playing the co-op campaign for the rest of the night. So it took up the majority of the day. It was just a total blast.
Were you playing it with four people?
Yeah, we've got a friend of ours from Holland is visiting, and so he's over, and then we had a couple other people over, and so we were just hanging out playing it, and it was just so silly. It kind of pulled everybody in. So yeah, it was a really great experience.
That's awesome.
So speaking of games preventing people from getting work done, the Final Fantasy XIV beta is currently ruling my life.
Uh-oh.
When I am not playing the Final Fantasy XIV beta, anything I am doing at the time is killing time until I can play the Final Fantasy XIV beta.
So, as someone that's not well versed in the Final Fantasy MMO type of scenes and stuff, can you explain a little bit when this game's supposed to come out, a little bit about it, how is it different from the previous Final Fantasy MMO?
Well, actually, I played Final Fantasy XI on and off for 10 years, so... so it's coming out August 27th, and Final Fantasy XI came out before WoW. Before WoW kind of set the standard and the precedent for what every MMO is like, the row of icons at the bottom, the look of the UI in WoW. And Final Fantasy XIV has basically adopted that and pushed it to the next level. It's pretty addictive, and I'm very embarrassed to say that I am addicted to an MMO, but I can't help it. Forget that it's just so pretty to look at. I've heard people who haven't even played it, just looking at screenshots, say, holy crap, this is probably the best looking MMO out there right now.
So is it set in a similar universe as the Final Fantasy XI, or is it a continuation of that story and that world, or is it kind of doing something new?
No, it's standard Final Fantasy fare. It's a completely new world, new story, new characters. It's set in a land called Eorzea. Final Fantasy and their strange names, I know. And actually, this is the second version of Final Fantasy XI. So in the first version, spoilers, long story short, shit went down and the world got completely destroyed, and all the player characters got transported 5 years into the future. And that's where we are now. And everyone else in the world, everyone else who survived, is just trying to pick up where they left off and rebuild their lives. And there is now a new antagonist, and there's something else going on underneath the main antagonist. So you see a bunch of, there's someone behind them trying to plan other shit. I don't know, because they limited the length you could go into the story in the beta, so I don't know very much yet. But, I actually really enjoyed the first Final Fantasy XIV. Towards the end, it got much better. so I'm kind of privy to the old story, and I can take a little bit more out of it than my average cohort. But I'm really looking forward to it. I cannot wait for the release because I want to know what happens next.
Cool. Sorry, go ahead. I've been hogging all the questions.
So you mentioned the first Final Fantasy XIV. Is this like a re-release, or what's like? I remember hearing something about that. What's the deal with that?
So basically, everyone who worked on the first Final Fantasy XIV got booted, like fired, flat out. Like Square Enix is like, sorry guys, you fucked up. Go find work somewhere else. And they brought in someone who worked on a very successful expansion for Final Fantasy XI and put him in charge of Final Fantasy XIV.
And just him built the whole MMO. He runs the servers. He peddles the cycle. No.
Yes, yeah, he's the new director. His name's Naoki Yoshida, and he is a genius, and he is hilarious. He's an MMO geek. Like, he plays other MMOs, and in some of his blog posts, he says, well, I was supposed to be doing this, but I was playing the game instead. Sorry, guys. And all the players are like, make our game. But yeah, so basically, they scrapped everything from the first version and rebuilt it entirely.
Cool.
So, I mean, new engine, new graphics, new UI.
Was the first one officially released, or was it did it get canned when it was in beta?
It was officially released, actually, and if you paid for the first version for 90 consecutive days, you get all these perks in version 2, because Square Enix is kind of saying, well, you know, thanks for playing our shitty game. Here's a here's a reward. So, yeah, I mean, it came out entirely, and actually, I want to say in phase 1 or phase 2 of the beta for version 2, Square Enix ordered all game retailers, GameStop, Walmart, etc., to destroy the old versions of Final Fantasy XIV because they were selling them for like $20 and people were swooping them up to get a cheap version of the client. So, yeah, I mean, it came out in stores, and I have it in a box sitting on my bookshelf right next to me.
So, is this going to be free to play or subscription or what?
No, it is subscription-based.
Okay.
And actually, that is one of my pastimes. That reminds me of one of my pastimes when I'm not playing Final Fantasy XIV. I am reading the beta forums and listening to the people bitch. And it entertains me to no end because people will complain about anything.
So, yeah, this is going to be interesting just because, you know, all of the MMOs that have come out lately, even the ones that have considered to be, you know, pretty successful and good, like Terra and Guild Wars and stuff, like Guild Wars never was subscription-based, but, you know, Terra, I think, just went free-to-play, and
The Old Republic.
Yeah, you know, the Old Republic did it, but it was sort of like a sham free-to-play, supposedly. It was kind of shitty. But, yeah, it seems like no one can do it.
They have this graph online for the Old Republic, and it shows all the stuff that you get if you pay and all the stuff you get if you don't pay. And the list is like 10 miles long.
Yeah.
Free-to-play has like 2 check marks, and I think paid has at least 50.
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems like it's just really hard to be an MMO in today's market and not be free to play because people just don't want to plump down that money. So it's going to be I'm interested to see you know, it seems like Final Fantasy already has like a really good following and you know it already has its audience. So it's building on something it already has a foundation. So that's really good. But hearing you talk about it even gets me excited to check it out. So I'm going to do a little digging. Because
and the thing about that paid subscription is they give you a lot for your money. The thing with both Final Fantasy MMOs is you're not limited to one class on one character. Like my character on 14 has 3 jobs at max level because you can switch. So instead of having to create a new character and, you know, pay extra every time you create a new character, you can do everything on one character.
Yeah, that's really smart. Keep us updated.
So, yeah.
I want to hear more.
I shall.
What have you been doing, André?
Besides what I've been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing? Have you been playing Steam Summer Sale? Just watching that game?
Oh, Steam Summer Sale.
Clicking the cubes on the Steam Summer Sale. Is that a game? I think it is.
Yeah, and trying to refresh and see if the store breaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steam Summer Sale. I've been doing my best to avoid any sort of big wallet breaking purchases, but I've definitely been getting quite a bit more. My Steam library before the sale was 132 games, and I thought, this is, maybe I should slow down. This is getting a little up there. It's 140 now.
Oh man.
So,
So what have you bought and what have you been playing and stuff?
I got a lot of indie stuff. I picked up Dishonored because it was on sale. I haven't played it yet, but I just kind of got it because I knew I'd want to. As for what I got and I'm playing, I got Reus today, and I've been playing that. And I got Surgeon Simulator, more for the laughs.
Nice.
Picked up Tomb Raider, was on sale a couple days ago, but I haven't played it yet.
What is Reus like? I heard it's not a game in the traditional sense.
It's interesting. It's definitely difficult to describe. It's sort of a cross between, I don't know if you ever played Black and White.
Mm-mm.
It was an old Peter Molyneux game where you play as a god and you kind of influence these cities, and you can either be a benevolent god or a malicious god.
Yeah, I never played it, but I actually I guess it was like 3 or 4 months ago, I found a copy at a garage sale that was unopened, so I bought it for $1. Nice. Yeah, so it's sitting in my living room. I'm probably not even going to do anything with it.
It was definitely a lot of fun. So there's some elements of that in it where you control these 4 different gods. There's a water one, a rock one, a forest one, and a swamp one. And it's sort of that mixed with civilization a little bit, because you sort of terraform this wasteland of a planet, and then provided there's certain criteria met, people will settle in the forests or the swamps or the deserts. And then you can give them different types of resources. So you can give them food or wealth or tech. And then they will build things based off of those, and then they'll start projects like a church. And then they'll say, okay, we have this church. We need this much food and this much tech to finish it. So then you try and meet that. So it's a little bit like a sandbox game in a way, because you really just start, and they call them eras, basically, are the levels. And so you start an era, and you just terraform it how you want, and you build a civilization, and then there's certain objectives to sort of shoot for, and then if you meet those, you can unlock new developments and new objectives. And so I've only played the tutorial's quite long because there's quite a bit to go through, so I've only played one era so far, but it's been quite fun.
So do you control, do you make all these decisions and stuff kind of in decision trees or something like that, and then in order to manipulate the world, you control one of the 4 big giant guys, and they can you smash down trees and or do stuff like that? Or
each god has a sort of set of abilities, so they all have their sort of terraforming abilities, and then they have more minute abilities. So like the water one can make oceans, the rock one can make mountains, the forest one plants forests, and the swamp one makes a big forest area.
Ooh,
and
that sounds fun.
Sort of requires elements from the other one, so you can't make forests without an ocean nearby, because then it needs the water. And then once you kind of do that big macro scale stuff, then you can plant fruit plants, or you can drop down minerals, or you can put down animal, domestic animals or wild animals, and they all have different stats to them. And then they all have things that can affect them. So if a wild animal is next to some fruits, it might produce more food or things like that. And it's all played on this sort of 2-dimensional ring that's the planet. And there's a little tile for, the planet might be covered in, 100 tiles or something. And so each tile can only hold one thing. So it's sort of a matter of balancing what you want that main product in the city to be, and having to overwrite some things if you need something that you're lacking. So yeah, and then eventually, it's really, really gorgeous.
That sounds really fun.
And then the people.
Yeah, and the art style is really cool too. It's really pretty looking. Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, it's funny because one of the mechanics is that if a city grows too, or I guess like a little village, if a village grows too quickly, they can become greedy, and they'll start attacking other villages on the planet or the gods, and so you kind of have to put them down and destroy them.
Oh, that's horrible.
But
so you said they set up churches. Are they I assume they're setting up churches to worship you?
Absolutely, and the gods are all controlled by you, so that's all. You control all 4 of them at all times, but the villages can fight each other, as far as I know, and they can attack the gods. I was actually in the one era that I played, I had 2 little villages going. One that I started and I kind of cared about, and the other one that I had to settle because one of the mechanics is that there are nomadic people, and if you don't give them an enticing spot to build a village, they might build right next to yours and compete for resources. So this was sort of my swamp, I don't care about them village.
Swamp
And
people.
in my main forest village, I was they built a little church, and I was like, oh, this is great. You know, they're kind of worshiping me.
Oh shit.
And then a new project popped up, and I went over to it, and it was a sacrificial altar.
I'm sorry, you just sounded so nonchalant about, oh, they're worshiping me. What do you know?
No,
Ha
it
ha
was
ha.
great. And then, all of a sudden, this sacrificial altar pops up, and I was like, oh, maybe these people aren't so nice. And then one of the requirements to finish the project was that the other city be destroyed. So I was like, well, we'll see. You know, if I meet the other criteria, then I'll consider it. And so I met the other criteria, and I destroyed the city, and they built the sacrificial altar, and it all went quite well.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like a really deep game. That there's quite a bit to it that I haven't even come close to.
Yeah, I heard some things about it and heard that I think it was this game. I heard that it just was not a game in a traditional sense, and that there's really no like beginning, middle, end kind of thing, and stuff. That might have just been all that they were saying.
Yeah.
And so I for some reason I assumed, just looking at the art style and stuff, I was like, this looks really cool, but it just is a little more abstract. If I had known that it was like what you're describing, then I probably would have checked it out sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. It's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, like I think if you had to classify it as a genre, it's definitely a sandbox game. There's no, you start an era and you have to meet this goal. It's you start an era, and one of the awards that you get is if you have a city with there's a term for it, prosperity. If you have a city with a prosperity over 100, you get just an award. So you kind of aim for these awards, and you can kind of give yourself goals for what you want to do. But yeah, there's no, as far as I know, there's no way to lose because there's no real.
That's cool.
End game.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Patrick, you're up. I want to hear that sexy voice. What have you been up to?
Nothing really. Like it's sad.
What just kind of hanging out in closets? What are you?
I've just been doing throwbacks for the past like couple weeks. I've been just on N64 and Dreamcast. But you know, like I said, I just got Dragon's Dogma. I'm really looking forward to playing that one.
Have you played any of it?
No, not at all. I've just seen how awesome it is and how interactive the gameplay is. Like, for example, you have these pawns that follow you around, like basically just people who worship you. I guess we'll use that word.
Yeah, the game does a good job explaining. I'm not too far in. I'm just a couple hours in, I guess. And the game does a good job explaining the pawns in terms of why they're there, and it's very like cheeky, and it's like self-aware of itself, you know. It's just like we've created these pawns, and you know their goal is to do nothing but follow you around. It's really odd, you know. And most games just make the AI do that. They're just like, this is your party, and these are people that are here to help you, and they're your buddies, so you know, thank them. And this game's just like, these guys are just AI, and they're here for you to help you have more fun. So yeah.
It definitely makes the game pretty funny because quite often darkness would fall and wolves would normally come out during the dark. But the pawns, every time a wolf comes up, it goes, "Wolves hunting packs, master." I say that so often. And like, one of the coolest things I saw was a griffin popped in. And they said, "Master Griffin!" And like, immediately, my friend's character got picked up and tossed like 200 feet, and she died. And I was like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah, the game's hardcore. Like, I stepped into a wrong area and just got my ass kicked, and I was just like, "Oh, it's like that," you know? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. That griffin, it took her like at least a half hour to kill it. Like,
so do you know what kind of class you're gonna play, or anything like that? Like a ranged character, or like a more of a knight with shield and sword, or what?
I'm not too familiar with the characters. I believe she was playing a warrior, which she had a terrible time with because there's a couple missions that she was just having the worst time with, trying to keep, like, it was basically transporting a caravan, just basically a person, you know. And being a warrior, she couldn't. Her abilities were so strong melee that she needed to protect the guy. But wherever she would go in battle, the guy would follow her. She couldn't say, "Oh, stay back." He would just, "Oh, cool, I'm charging after the griffin too, man. It's cool. I got no armor. It's fine." So, yeah, it's interesting. So, definitely I have to assess the situation and see what classes are gonna go, or what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, this is on 360.
I got this for a PS3.
Sweet, dude. You should be my friend. Maybe we can.
I think it's only for PS3.
Dragon's Dogma?
Yeah, I think it's only for PS3.
No, it's on 360 as well.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because before I bought it, I like went to one of those websites. I forgot. is it called Digital Foundry or something? They do the frame shot comparisons or the frames per second comparisons and all the benchmarking of games and stuff. And for some reason, I don't know why, I decided to look this one up and make sure that like it ran the same on both systems and make sure I wasn't buying like the bad version or something. I don't do that often, but for this game, I felt like I needed to, and yeah, I got it for PS3 as well. So
What was the verdict on it? What did they say?
they're pretty much the same. You know, just the difference between the Xbox and the PS3 in most games is just the shadows and stuff. Like they're a little darker in the 360, and other than that, like the frame rate and all that stuff, like it was all exactly the same. So
That's cool.
they were comparable. Yeah, they were the same, man. So
I think
Sweet.
that's something that Sony's doing a huge favor for themselves with in the next generation, is avoiding their really bizarre architecture for the actual hardware.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
that was an issue with, I mean, less so near the end of the generation, but with
Right.
like, I know Mass Effect was just plagued with problems because it was
Was
a
it really?
multi-platform. Yeah, I think so. The first one.
oh the
And,
first one,
Yeah.
yeah.
And a bunch of just multi-platform releases for the PlayStation, and the developers were having such a hard time because they couldn't get their heads around how different the architecture was.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you've got the in-house or the exclusive developers that were, fine with it because that's all they had to work with, or I guess that's all they had to focus on.
Right.
But the multi-platform releases definitely for a while were really hurting.
Yeah, the memory in the PS3 was split 256. It was on each side, I guess, and for the PS4 they just have one big memory pool. So yeah, like I just read a article today that was explaining the Warframe devs, the guys that are bringing Warframe to the PS3. Yeah, they converted the game from PC to PS4. They converted the game from PC to PS4 in 3 months, and they were talking about how badass that is, and it has to do with the system architecture.
Nice.
And then Mark Cerny, I think is his name. He's going around just talking about the architecture and stuff, and it's badass, man. I'm really excited. So, yeah.
So speaking of next gens, who here has pre-ordered what?
I don't even pre-order games anymore.
I pre-ordered GTA 5. I got the $150 one.
Oh my god, dude. What do you get with that?
Dude, it gives you a safety bag, like one of those bank bags, like not like the big ones, like a kind of like the envelope-sized one, like a manila folder, and it has like the GTA 5 logo on it with a cool little key. They give you the blueprints of the actual map, the full California, and then they give you a sweet cap. It says GTA 5 on it. You get
Cool.
a collector's edition steel case with never before seen art in it. Yeah, that's it.
In the game.
In the game.
Speaking of collector's editions, Ubisoft needs to get over this whole releasing their good CEs in Europe only thing, because it's starting to tick me off. Assassin's Creed 4 had an awesome one, and I mean, they still do, but it's Europe only, and I was kind of bummed about it for a while. I was like, you know what, I have like 3 other Assassin's Creed collector's editions. I'll get over it. And then they released the Watchdogs one, and it was EU only, and I was like, oh, come on, Ubisoft, really? Why are you doing this to me? It's so cruel.
Yeah.
So cruel. The Watchdogs one is just so amazing.
What's in the Watchdogs collector's edition?
It's got an art book. Art books are my crack. Like, if I see art book in a collector's edition, I have to acquire it somehow. It's got a 22-inch figure of the main character. His name has escaped me. I'm sure André knows what it is. It's got a set of pins. It's got a set of augmented reality cards.
Oh, cool.
Steel case.
In an iPhone. No.
The list was really long. There was a bunch of in-game stuff. But that art book and the figure is so nice.
Cool. Yeah, I got the Grand Theft Auto 4 collector's edition because it came with a small duffel bag that had the Rockstar logo on it, and it's the perfect size to put sound equipment and cameras and shit like that in. So it's awesome. Yeah, and it also came with
Nice.
a steel lockbox that you would see like in a bank or whatever, and I don't know. I don't do anything with it, but yeah, their collector's edition stuff is cool. So, but yeah, other than that, I don't have anything pre-ordered. I know I want to get a PS4. I might get one for the holiday. The Xbox One, I'm just gonna wait down the line a little bit and see where that goes. And then I want like a Wii U, but I want that to get a little cheaper. But I don't need to pre-order that now, so I don't know. Do you guys have pre-orders for for anything?
I wanted to put in a pre-order for a PS4, but my address as to when it's going to be released is up in the air because we don't have a release date. So I didn't want to pre-order one where I'm living now and then realize that when it comes out, I'm going to be living 3,000 miles away.
Yeah. That sucks.
And now there aren't any more pre-orders anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't plan on pre-ordering an Xbone. I don't know, people think I'm weird, but I prefer the DualShock controllers to the Xbox controllers. People look at me when I tell them that, like, are you crazy? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because I have small girl hands, or, you know, I grew up with a DualShock controller, but I'm just better with it. Like, Andre's seen me play on an Xbox controller, and it's pretty abysmal to watch.
That's crazy, yeah.
Here's a test. Did you like the GameCube controller?
I don't know.
Ew, this is a tricky test.
Because if you did, then it's probably because you have small hands.
I like the GameCube controller.
I loved the GameCube controller, but I know a lot of people didn't, and it was mostly people with bigger hands.
The only time I ever remember having a real intimate experience with the GameCube controller is when my friends and I played Bomberman, and it got really intense. I was really focused on what I was doing, and I was noticing that my fingers would slip off the joysticks.
The new PS4 controller just looks awesome. I've been obsessing over the screenshots and the videos about it and the comparison, things that fans have put together, and it looks to be such a good controller. And apparently people that have had hands-on are reporting really, really good things about it. So yeah, I preferred the 360 controller to the DualShock, but after I started using a DualShock for a while, like just over the last couple of years, I've gotten more into my PS3. I just got used to it. I hardly think about the differences between the two at all anymore. So
it's the D-pad on the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
It messes with my mind. I can't get my head around it. Like, I love the Devil May Cry series, and so my husband surprised me when Devil May Cry 4 came out and brought it home for me, but he bought it for Xbox, and I was like, I can't play this.
Oh, man.
And he was like, what? Why? I'm like, it's on Xbox. I can't play it.
Yeah, that's a bummer. You can just mail it to me, I guess.
I overcame for Halo 4, but that was about it.
Yeah, I can't think of a recent game that I had to play that needed the D-pad. Like, I know that it has its issues, but I just haven't used it at all recently.
I mean, I will admit, it feels really nice to hold. Like, it's got good weight to it, and the buttons feel nice, but it's the damn D-pad. Fuck that D-pad, man.
But yeah, I do agree that the PlayStation 4 controller does look really awesome. Although I heard, apparently people with glossy screen TVs are complaining that the light
in
on
the
the
back
of the controller is reflecting off of the screen and just giving them like a really annoying glare.
I saw that. I think that stemmed from a screenshot that I saw going around, and it was like reflecting in it, and they were like, "How come no one's talking about this issue?" This is one of the things. Like I was like replying. I was like, "Guys, are you really complaining about this?" Because the screenshot that I saw, I'm not saying that it's not gonna like a legitimate complaint for some people, but the screenshot that I saw of the reflection that was like circled really big in red, like that whole room was reflecting off of that television. Like you could see the people reflecting off of that television, So yeah, we're gonna have to see. That could very well be an issue, but then again, there's always good old trusty duct tape to cover it. But like I always hate that as an excuse, Like it's the same people that said, "Oh, well, you can just cover up your Kinect. What's the big deal?" And it's like that's not the point, And so, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I imagine the actual lighting in the room has a lot to do with it too. Like if you're playing in pitch black, anything is gonna start reflecting off the TV. So.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not playing in a scene in the game that's going to be so dark. I know there are games that are just inherently dark. Like a game like Watchdogs would seem like it's pretty dark overall and stuff, but I don't know.
There's little glowing lights all over Watchdogs, so maybe it'll just blend in. I didn't get really excited about the trackpad. Like, I thought it was a cool idea, but I didn't get really excited about it until I saw the gameplay trailer from E3 for Second Son. Infamous Second Son, because I didn't really have any idea in my mind of how people would use it and utilize it in gameplay. And then
Wait, what are you talking about?
so in the gameplay trailer for Second Son, there's a part where Delson has to like charge up this generator or something like that, and you charge it up by tapping the trackpad.
Okay.
So I didn't really see any way that a gameplay developer would put it in action until then, and now that I've seen it firsthand, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to be put into games. I don't really care until someone comes out with something that's really awesome. Then I'll obviously care about it. But like I'm looking for hopefully they implement some sort of UI functionality with the touchpad where whenever you're looking at Netflix queues or whatever, you can I'm so used to using touch screens in my life on my phone and my iPad, and like sometimes whenever I have my laptop open, I inherently want to like touch the screen and move it or whatever. And so hopefully like I'd like to see if that would work out good, just using it to kind of move back and forth along the UI or something like that. But it's extra,
Well, it's replacing the start and select buttons.
Yeah.
So it'll have to
Right.
replace those buttons' functionality somehow.
Well, the track or the touchpad, you can click down like a button too, but then that only takes care of one button, I guess. Maybe two. I don't know.
I guess there might be. I guess they might be able to delegate corners to do different things. Like the trackpad on my laptop, the top left corner, if I tap it, will turn off the trackpad. So you can delegate areas of trackpads to do different things.
Sony, get back to us. Let us know.
I was gonna say I actually have been playing one other thing. It's been Little Big Planet on the Vita.
Nice.
And for a while there's been a stretch where not a lot of Vita games have actually utilized the both dual touchscreens, the back and front. And I gotta say, Little Big Planet just blew it out of the water. They just unreal interactivity. Like I loved the game to begin with, but holy crap, they blew my mind. Like you literally have to use both sides to get through the levels. It's so awesome. Oh my goodness, they did such a good job, and it's so sad how they're the only company to really utilize its functionality that way, because it's such a unique feature. I mean, because freaking Nintendo's DS, that's not gonna amount to anything. It's got the touchpad, but you really can't touch the pad at the same time while you're playing a game unless you're kind of like in a pause motion or something, like just not as fluent, and it's really fun. Like I was completely blown away.
Give me an example of like something that it does in the game.
So in the game they have these movable blocks, okay, and the movable blocks will be blue, meaning that you can touch it and it'll push into the wall and your character can go by. Now if it's red, you tap on the backside of it in the same location that it is, and it'll turn blue, meaning it comes back out. So you, like, for example, you're getting chased by a monster, so you have to like move these blue blocks out of your way, or add them there so you can hop on it, or you actually sometimes have to slide them up to get them out of the way. There's platforms that you move with your finger so you can hop on it to just continue on to the level. What else have they done? I mean, the character itself, it comes with different like power-ups, I guess you can say. So when you run into a kind of like the checkpoint area, there will be like this extra mechanic you gain. One's a grappling hook. So you just use the R trigger and you grapple yourself through the level. I believe there's a flying one as well. I think you just latch onto it and you just press R and it'll just launch you through, and you can get higher and stuff. I mean, it's just a fun game. It's just really fun to play.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too far in it, but I have it. I don't know why we're not Little Big Planet friends, but we need need to play together.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's because you can add people in it too, and such a great game.
I can't say I've ever had a bad time playing a Little Big Planet title.
It's the only game that I do double dates with. Me and my wife will hook up with. No, I'm serious. Listen to this. Me and my wife will hook up with one of my other friends. Me and my friend, we mostly play PC games together, but he has a PS3 and Little Big Planet 1 and 2, and I do as well. And me and my wife will set up a date. And last Friday we actually just did this, and we log in and we get our little we get our little Big Planet on, and it's me and my wife and him and his wife, and we play 4-player, and it's just crazy. It's so funny, and it's a lot of fun. So that's really like the only game that we get down like that on, and so it's unique like that. It's awesome.
My husband and I try to avoid adding video games to our social repertoire because every time we do, it just ends up being turned into a drinking game.
Oh, I got a funny story. Last week, I had some friends over, and we decided to do an N64 drinking marathon. We first started off with Super Smash Brothers, had 30 lives each. We all got down to 1 life, so we at least had just 2-3 beers. After that, we played GoldenEye. I dominated, so I didn't really drink anything. Mario Kart, you would have to drop the controller, drink a full beer, and then finish the race. I mean,
what, at the end of a lap or something, or what?
no.
What prompted dropping the controller?
So the way it has to happen is that you have to finish your beer before the end of the race, but you have to put the controller down. You can't be driving still. You have to put the controller down and drink, and you had to finish the race. We did 3 of those races. It was. By the end of the night, within 25 minutes, I should say, we played 4. Well, the last game we played Pokemon Stadium, the mini games. I mean, those are just unreal. They're so much fun. And
I have to say, I am jealous of you Chicago folk and your ability to drink 312 anytime you want.
Nice, yeah.
That stuff is amazing. André got me hooked on it while I was visiting.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it's
André.
pretty good. I like it.
But yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, we did it with the Wii Mario Kart. Yeah, it's great. It's such fun. It's just fun stuff to play drinking games with.
Wii and alcohol. I can not see those two making for a very good combination.
It was bad. This is actually before I drank, and I did root beer. Never, ever, ever try and drink root beer in a marathon. I literally.
That sounds like the worst thing ever.
I was not thinking. I was burping uncontrollably during the race, and everyone was laughing at me. So I couldn't breathe. On top of that, so I'm sitting here dying while everyone's laughing at me. It was bad times.
Our last escapade was turning Cards Against Humanity into a drinking game.
Oh wow!
That was our last drinking escapade with friends. So basically, does everyone here know how Cards Against Humanity works? Like the basic rules?
Yeah.
So when we played, whoever won that round didn't have to drink.
Oh, okay.
So the drunker you get, the more stupid your answers become.
Not sure. Yeah. Only you think they're funnier, and you're like, well, why am I not winning? This is
One in particular, we had a really hard time picking a winner because the blank was like, in her new Disney Channel movie, Hilary Duff has to accomplish blank for the first time, and they were all awesome. Like, all 6 answers, like, if you laid them in a line, they actually told a story. Like, there was something about a broken condom, and something about a Denny's parking lot, and I don't know, something about a shank. They were all awesome answers. I actually ended up...
All make sense.
They all make sense.
Yeah, that's good.
But the funnier that you think they are, going way back to the pre-order question, I do have an Xbox One pre-ordered. It'll be the first console I've ever gotten at launch, so I'm pretty excited for it. I wasn't planning on it, but then they announced the Day 1 edition with the fancy controller.
Oh.
So I couldn't
So out of
resist.
all of us, André is the only one dedicated enough to put in a pre-order.
And,
that's what we take away from this.
Yeah, and the protagonist in Watchdogs, his
Ooh.
name is Aiden Pearce.
Okay, I was too lazy to look it up, so
There you go.
thank you, André.
Yeah.
All right, so, well, thanks everyone for tuning in to our inaugural episode. I'm Ashley.
And I'm André.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Sean.
We'll catch you next week with our latest podcast. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.